Greetings, love warriors. Greetings, love icons. Open your throat chakra now to attract your mate and your tribe. This is the key to attracting people of like minds. And I'm going to tell you how. Before we get into that, let me introduce myself really quickly. My name is Pangea Northstar. I am a Reiki healer, a sound therapist, a teacher, an empath, and so much more. Here on my Tuesday night lives, we call this segment Attracting Love Energy. And we are always talking about how to attract more love energy into your life because I love to talk about love. Love is the key. Love is what the world needs right now. Peace, Zena Electra. Peace, Jatin. Hi, greetings, soul family. Yes, this is exactly what we're talking about tonight. My soul family's online, y'all. These are people that I love and people that I've attracted into my life since opening my throat chakra, okay? And so many of the people that join us on Tuesday Night Lives are people that I've attracted just by doing exactly what I'm going to tell you about tonight. So I'm super excited to share with you. These are all things that's working for me. Like I'm always sharing stuff with you guys that's working for me. Okay. That's super important. I'm not just, throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. I'm sharing with you guys things I've discovered along my journey that is really working for me. Okay. So, Zena and Jatin, tell me if you are finding yourself able to attract people of like minds since you began intentionally engaging with your spiritual journey, with your healing journey, and expressing yourself. Tell me if that's working for you. If so, give me some fire in the chat. And thanks for the compliment, Z. I appreciate you. I'm not going to repeat what it was because I'm a little bashful. Y'all, okay, so opening your throat chakra is one of the number one ways, aside from opening your heart chakra, is one of the number one ways to attract your tribe and attract your mate. Yes, I'm seeing the fire in the chat. This is true, right? Confirmation, okay? So, y'all, it's natural to want to be surrounded by like-minded people, okay? Keeping yourself surrounded by like-minded people helps you create momentum in your life, okay? It's not just that it helps you to not feel so isolated and not, feel alone, which is totally legitimate, right? Totally legitimate. Being on, having a spiritual awakening can be an isolating process, okay? When you start to awaken to who you are on a spiritual level and start to, talk about things and read about things and experience things that maybe other people around you are not experiencing, that can be very isolating, okay? Greetings, Sufjan Sharmeti. I hope I'm not murdering your name. Greetings, Haywood. Thank you for the compliment. Okay, you guys. So, when you start awakening and you're, talking about things of a spiritual nature, if that's not who you've been all your life, you're probably not already surrounded by people who talk like this, who think like this, or even interested in hearing this. People may be thinking, oh, this person has flipped their wig, right? This person is losing their mind, or maybe, going down a wrong path. Some people may even shut you out or be afraid of the things that you're talking about, or just not, not be interested at all. So for that reason, yes, it can be isolating, okay? But one of the major keys to that is opening the throat chakra, okay? Because you want to begin to attract people to you that help you create this momentum going in the direction that you are going in your life. Yes, yes. Curly Kid says, I keep leveling up. Yes, absolutely. Right. And being surrounded by like minded people helps you to keep leveling up. Right. And that's true. Jatin is saying, yes, a lot of people don't understand you, but your soul family does. Right. your tribe understands you, right? And you want to begin to grow that tribe of people. And this may be friends, this may be family, but even your mate, right? What a beautiful blessing to have someone close to you who is of a like mind and is able to journey with you in many aspects. So, opening the throat chakra, let's get into that. Let's get into that. Okay, what do we mean when we're talking about opening the throat chakra? So we know our chakras are energy centers, or let me say it this way one time to make Jatin happy. Chakra. Jatin says, it, it's chakra. It's chakra. You Americans, y'all say chakra. Jatin cracks me up because he's when he's in the UK, and when he imitates my southern accent, it's hilarious. Jatin says, "You say chakra, it's chakra." Okay, but listen, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, so I say chakra. That's what rolls off my tongue easily. Okay, but Jatin's right. That's the proper pronunciation. Greetings, Sierra. Okay, so now the throat chakra is an energy center. Okay, all of our chakras are energy centers in our body. Okay, we have 7 basic chakras, and each chakra is where a particular type of energy is concentrated in our physical body. Okay, so the throat chakra is located here. Okay, here in the throat area. Okay, and it includes the throat, the neck, the shoulders, the arms and the hands, and the ears and nasal passages. Now, for those who already know about chakras, you may be saying, "Oh, Pangea, I thought the hands and the arms were a part of the heart chakra." They are. They are. Calm down. You're not wrong, and I'm not wrong. Okay, there's an overlap in this energy. Okay, and it's going to make sense when I explain why. Okay, so our throat chakra is about expression, okay? And this has to do with speaking up for yourself and speaking your truth. Yes, of course, okay? Telling the world who you are. But we also do that through our creativity. So our throat chakra is also about creativity. And when we have an idea, whether that idea is something that is a thought that we, came up, it's a mental thing, or it's something coming up from the heart. It's emotional expression, right? Greetings, church. Greetings, church. Good to see you here tonight. Or whether it's a mental thing or an emotional thing, when we, the first place that we bring that into the physical world is through our throat chakra, by either speaking that thing aloud, or we may be writing it down, right? We may be painting, we may be drawing, we may be sculpting, we may be cooking, we may be doing all type of creative things with our hands and our arms, okay? So that is why the throat chakra also includes the region of the arms and the hands, okay? There's an overlap in the heart and the throat chakra energy, okay? Very strong connection there between the heart and the throat chakra, okay? So now another thing I want to explain really quickly, I mentioned the nasal passages in the ears. We know our throat, our nasal passages, and our ears are all connected. That's why when you go to the doctor, it's called ear, nose, and throat doctor. There are ear, nose, and throat doctors. Okay, it's not just a throat doctor or an ear doctor or a nose doctor. Okay, there are doctors who specialize in all 3 because these passageways are connected. So when it comes to the throat chakra energy, it's not just about expressing yourself, but it includes the ears, because you are also open to other people's expression when your throat chakra is open. Okay, when your throat chakra is open, when it's balanced, you are also open to other people's expression. And that is why when there's a throat chakra imbalance, one of the symptoms can be talking over people, right? Interrupting people, speaking, not allowing other people to speak, or not being open to hearing someone else's truth. Okay, so that's just another little tidbit for you guys, for you to kind of get an idea of what this energy is really all about. Okay, so why does opening your throat chakra, balancing your throat chakra, help you to attract your soul family, your tribe, your mate? Okay. Also, the reason for that is this: when you are telling your truth, when you are being honest with the world, with people around you about who you are, when you are utilizing your creativity, expressing yourself creatively, you're expressing the inspiration that's in your heart, you are emitting your unique signature frequency. Okay, you are emitting your unique signature frequency. Okay, so we're talking about the energetic attraction aspect here. Okay, so as we talk about every week, we have this field of energy all around us. Each one of us has our own field of energy all around us, and whatever signals, whatever frequencies are in our energetic field attract matching frequencies. Okay, so that's good information. Jatin is saying that the ears are a minor chakra as well. That is great information, Jatin. Thank you so much for sharing that. So when you are emitting your unique signature frequency, these are the things that are about you that are like no one else. This unique combination of your thoughts, your emotions, your gifts, and your talents. This all makes a unique combination that is a signature frequency. So when you're open with who you are, right? When you are honest about who you are, then that frequency you're emitting is showing the world who you really are. Greetings, Jonathan. Good to see you tonight. Glad you can make it. So when you are telling people who you really are, when you are showing who you really are, being transparent, being vulnerable, then your energy, that signal is calling for people who have things in common with you, who have similar interests, who maybe have similar gifts or have complementary gifts. Okay, so how does this work? If you like to paint, for example, you like to paint, perhaps your paintings, displaying your paintings, sharing your paintings, it may attract other people who like to paint. It also may attract other people who are interested in art. Maybe you'll attract someone who owns an art gallery. Maybe you'll attract people who like to buy your art, right? Maybe you'll attract people who just study art, right? But you'll attract people that are also artists. You may attract musicians. You may attract writers, but you'll attract other people who also have a creative spirit and who will feel like home to you. Okay? Your art, your expression speaks to people. Your vibration draws people to you that are like you. So, for example, my other business, I have an energy healing business, but I also have a salon. And in my salon, I'm telling y'all, I have the most amazing clients. I never have problems with clients having, bad attitudes or bringing their personal problems into the salon in a way that creates a problem, because I'm sharing my joy with people, right? My signature frequency is attracting people who want to be treated well, because I am treating people well. It's my goal. It's my aim to treat people well. And I make people feel heard. So then we hear each other and we communicate well. That's never been a problem. So I've always known that, okay, I'm going to attract people like myself, right? So now, y'all, my live went out for just a minute. Let me make sure that I got everything plugged up correctly here. Okay, somebody let me know if y'all can still see and hear me. I know it's a little bit dimmer, but your unique signature frequency works that way. Okay, so people are responding to the beautiful frequencies that you are putting out. People are responding to your vulnerability and your transparency when you're being vulnerable and transparent. Okay, so this is super important. Give me 2 seconds here. This is super important because you want to be attracting people that help you to hone your craft, to help your craft, help you to become better at what you do, and introduce you to people that can help you expand whatever it is that you're doing. That's very important. That's very key, right? You don't want to be doing whatever you're doing in a bubble, right? So when you are telling the truth about who you are, why am I using that type of language? Well, a lot of times I hear people say, "Oh, well, it seems like I keep attracting people that are not honest with me about who they are. People that are liars, people that are, narcissists, or whatever the case may be." If you are attracting people that aren't honest about who they are, a good question to ask yourself is, am I being honest about who I am? Right? And what I mean by this is, what are the things that you tend to keep close to your chest, that you tend to hide when you meet someone new? What are the things you tend to hold back? This is a great journal prompt, you guys. This is a great thing to journal about. What are the things that you tend to hold back? It could be that you're not comfortable speaking up or sharing your opinion. Give me some fire in the chat if you're willing to be honest and say, I think I may have a little bit of people pleasing still in me. Let me know, give me some fire in the chat if you ever just feel uncomfortable speaking your opinion when your opinion is opposite of whatever seems to be dominating the room. Yes, lots of fire in the chat. Same, you guys. Like I'm learning, how to do that. Because sometimes I'm like, man, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. I don't want, people to think that I think I know everything, or that, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want them to think I'm judging them, because that's some of the things I've experienced, especially from people who are spiritual or religious or whatever. Sometimes people just come off like they think they know everything, and it's like, I don't want to come off that way, but I also want to be honest with the people, that I care about and that I love, and just honest in general, with my thoughts and my feelings. And it can be hard sometimes to express something that's opposite of what other people think and feel. If you have, especially if you have an opinion that is unpopular or controversial, or you just think, oh, this may really step on this person's toes if I say this, right? So learning how to be just out with it, it doesn't take being rude, but sometimes somebody can say something to you like, hey, I need to reschedule again. I know I said I was gonna do this and that with you, but I need to reschedule again. I'm not gonna come, okay? I'm gonna break our plans for today, okay? There's a way to say, no, it's not really okay with me. That's actually not okay with me. I wish that it were okay with me, but I gotta tell you, I'm feeling some kind of way here. I'm feeling like, you don't value my time, or, you're making me feel like, you only make plans with me if you don't have something else to do, and that hurts my feelings, right? If you say it like that, you're just being honest, but it gives the other person an opportunity to reflect on how you feel, and they may not have intended to make you feel that way, or maybe they just hadn't put any thought into how you feel because you normally don't speak up. Maybe you're the person it's easy to break plans with because you never speak up. You just say, okay, I'll see you next time, maybe another time. and just shrink away, right? Jatin says, if I'm too honest, I get into trouble. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I can relate. I can relate. And back when I was a person that, just really had a lot of difficulty with expressing myself, when I first started expressing myself, it would come out really abrupt. It would come out like harsh or loud or all jumbled up, and it may even seem angry, even if I wasn't angry, but you know, it can come out that way. This takes practice. This takes practice. Okay, so be patient with yourself. And I've even learned to say, like, since I've attracted my soul family, I can say to my soul family, I can say to my tribe, you know what? Okay, I got to say something here. And Jatin, and Zena, I've been practicing with, expressing myself. So I don't know how this is going to come out, but I got to just say it and blah, blah, the first time I say it, I may just be blurting something out, but I'm kind of giving them a warning, and this is my soul family. So they know my heart. They know that I don't mean to be rude when I'm saying something, right? So try that. Try giving yourself grace by just giving a little disclaimer like, hey, I'm about to say something. You might not like it. You can hang up on me if you want to, but I gotta be honest with you, sis. I gotta be honest with you, bro. This is sounding weird to me. I don't, you gotta get it out, right? You gotta get it out. Zena's laughing because she knows how I can be. Like, I don't mean to sound, whatever, but this is how I feel, girl. But that is part of being honest about who you are. When you're saying something's okay with you and it's really not okay with you, you're not portraying the real you. You're portraying a version of you that's not quite really you, right? If you're people pleasing, you're not being honest about who you are. And that's going to attract people into your life that are not being honest about who they are. Okay, so that's one of the ways that works. Okay, so now the same is true when you're expressing your creativity. That thing that you decide to paint, that thing that poem you wrote, that book you wrote, that whatever, that food that you cooked, with your heart, that thing that you just love to do. That is the way you put those ingredients together. That's the way you mix those colors. This is the perspective from which you decided to write or to draw, right? That's unique. That's unique. And that is emitting your signature frequency. That's going to resonate with people that are going to resonate with you, right? Thank you for all of, yes, I see it in the chat. You let me know that does resonate. It makes sense, right? So if you're finding yourself, feeling lonely or not attracting people that resonate with you, so this could be loneliness or surrounded by people that you feel like just really don't get you, right? You got to express who you are and you got to express yourself more. You got to put yourself out there some more, okay? So now, listen, let's talk specifically about attracting your tribe, okay? So I really have begun to attract more and more and more of my tribe. And I'm talking specifically soul family, okay? Specifically, I'm talking about people who are close to me in my personal life, okay? When I began engaging more intentionally with my spiritual journey, with healing myself, okay? I began to attract people who are also on that same journey and who had like deeper things in common with me because I was no longer just engaging myself in my own life on a surface level, right? So then I start, uncovering things about myself. And then I start attracting people that had deeper and deeper things in common with me, right? And that's a beautiful feeling, a beautiful feeling. Now, are there times where I have moments where I still feel like, oh my God, there's got to be more people. There's got to be more people. that think like I think or believe like I believe. Sure, sure I do. But I have a lot more people in my life now that prove to me that I'm not the only one that thinks like this, right? And I have people that are close to me and people that I can call when I'm feeling some kind of way, people that I can express anything to, and they're like, yeah, I hear you, and that feels great. That feels really good. And I've done that by becoming more expressive, by digging deeper into my own thoughts and feelings and bringing that to the surface. I used to be a lot more closed off, and not willing to be vulnerable or show the things about myself that are different. Okay, give me some fire in the chat if it feels weird to you sometimes, if you're sometimes nervous about revealing things to yourself when you meet people that are different about you. You know, if you are into aliens, for example, you like aliens, if you are into um, things about, if you like to dig into your psychic abilities, you want to know, if you have psychic abilities, or if perhaps you're a star seed, or if you're into hypnosis or energy healing. I'm just naming the weird stuff I like at this point, guys. So if you like, you're into metaphysics, and you want to know more about the universe, you want to know more about other planets, you want to know more about the cosmos, like that's not things that everybody's into, right? So people can look at you like, oh, we got a live one here, Um, people sometimes it can people who aren't into that type of stuff may think that it's weird, But like Jatin said, it's not weird to me. It's not weird to me. It's interesting to me, right? But someone else who may like to go skiing, in Alaska, or maybe into like, I don't know, like strange birds or something, that may seem strange to me because it's something I'm not familiar with, but the more you entrench yourself and surround yourself in the things that are unique to you, and you're surrounded with more people that, are unique and are open to themselves and more accepting of you, the more confident you feel and the easier it gets to share this stuff. Okay. But if you are trying to pretend that you or if you're trying to blend in, and you present this generic version of yourself when you meet people, you're not going to find yourself surrounded with people that are unique in similar ways, in the same way that you're unique, or in ways that complement your uniqueness. Okay. So now that is also true when we're talking about attracting your mate. Okay. Your spiritual journey, your creativity, your healing journey, your expression is your mating call. Okay. Your unique expression of exactly who you are is your mating call. So I always say, heal out loud. I'm not saying you got to tell your whole, the whole world your business, but as you uncover layers of yourself and come into self-acceptance and self-love, share that. Share that with people. And the things that you really do accept about yourself they get easier and easier to share. Okay? And if you are wanting to attract a mate, don't you want to attract a mate that is a good match for the real you and not the generic version of you that, you present when you're not really comfortable? Does that make more sense? Right? You want to attract mates and friends that are a match to the real you. Okay? If not, you're always going to find yourself unhappy or having surface level connections with people. Okay? And they either won't last, or, you'll still be connected, but you won't be happy. You won't feel fulfilled. Okay? So I want to give you guys um, a couple of ideas about how to open your throat chakra. Okay. So we've already talked about, speaking up, learning how to speak up when maybe your ideas are a little different than, what other people are expressing, or even are in complete, complete opposite, complete contradiction, right? So speaking up, speaking your truth. Okay. This also is really great for your health. The throat chakra um, helps, it is connected to your hormonal glands, to your thyroid and parathyroid. And also for women, it is also connected to your menstrual cycle. Okay. If you have a really closed off throat chakra and you're always holding in what you think, it can cause you to have an irregular menstrual cycle. Why? The throat chakra is a means of purification. Okay. This is how we get things off of our chest, as they say. Get it off your chest. Why? Because you're expressing what's in your heart. Okay, that's why we have that expression in our language. I have something I need to get off my chest. Right? There's something in your heart. There's something you really need to express. You let that out through the throat chakra. Right? So that is a means of purification. And having a menstrual cycle is one of the ways that the woman's body purifies itself as well. Okay, so there's a very important link there. Okay, lots of people don't know that. This is not a real obvious connection. Yes, thank you, Eric. Yeah, definitely it requires confidence to express yourself, but it's super, super important, right? We all need that confidence, right? Um, Also, sharing your, Zena, that's so funny. Yes, absolutely. Zena's good about expressing herself. So, yes, so using your gifts and your talents, okay? Using your gifts and your talents. Another journal prompt that'll be great to write about is, what is the thing that you love to do? As Zena always says, what is the thing that sets your heart aglow, right? I love that term. I love that saying. When the first time I heard her say it, I was like, oh my God, that's true. Yeah. What is the thing you do that really just makes you light up? Sometimes people say, what is the thing you would do for free? Right? That's a good way to identify what your gifts and your talents are. Something that you just do naturally and you really enjoy doing. What is that thing? Do that thing. Right? Like I said, it could be cooking, it could be sculpting, it could be making pottery. It could be, some form of crafting, it could be singing. What is the thing you love to do? That opens up the throat chakra, the thing that is creative, the thing that is expressive. Okay. And share it with people. Share it with people. Okay. Another thing, this also includes your spiritual gifts. Okay. Your spiritual gifts. Okay. So if you are an empath, if you are a person that's able to read energy or interpret interpret dreams, if you are a person that does past life regressions, or you're really good at holding space or sending healing energy to people, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. The world needs more of that. Okay. So using that spiritual gift, it could just be the way that you have empathy and compassion for people. Do that. It also helps open up the throat chakra. Okay. Um, Also, journaling. This is a huge one, guys. Listen up, listen up, listen up. I don't care whether you consider yourself to be a good writer or not. Okay. Um, Journal, 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 journal. Eric says, how do you figure this out yourself? What's your method? Okay, I was saying this earlier, Eric. I don't know if you were on here yet, but these are all things that I have just tried for myself and figured out for myself along my path. Okay, but just trying things. A lot of times, think back to when you were a kid. Are there things that you just naturally love to do when you were a kid? Okay. If you used to like to play with Play-Doh, for example, maybe you would like pottery as an adult. If you used to like to take your toys apart, maybe you're some sort of mechanic, or maybe you would like to build models of things. Okay. Um, I used to like to draw when I was a kid. I used to like to draw. Um, and now I've just rediscovered drawing and painting in my life. Okay. I used to like to write poems and stories when I was a kid. I became an adult. I stopped doing all these things in my teenage years. Childhood totally interrupted. Started having to start taking on more adult responsibilities, and it's like I forgot I could even do these things, right? But journaling is one of the things that brought me back to myself. Even just expressing myself through writing how I feel helped me to start to open up and be open to trying other things that I hadn't tried in a really long time. And sometimes it can be a little scary, a little nerve wracking. Sometimes as adults, we feel like we have to do everything right the first time, or if I make something, it has to look great. You know, if I draw something, it has to be a masterpiece to be worth anything. And that is so untrue. I have discovered since I started back painting just how cathartic it is. Just I wouldn't care if it looked like crap when I was done. Just having something I can do that it brings me peace. It's relaxing, because the thing I discovered about painting is that if I so-called mess up, all I have to do is let it dry. All I have to do is let it dry and paint over that. I can paint over it and paint not what's perfect, but what I intended to paint in the first place. And through doing that, I discovered that, man, you know, there's not enough places in my life where I bring this type of energy to it, where I give myself room to mess up, where I give myself space for do-overs. I realized that I had been telling myself in other areas of my life that you don't get do-overs. And that's not true. It's not true at all. But that's what I was telling myself, but I didn't figure that out until I started painting again. Yes, Zena says painting is so peaceful. Zena is an amazing artist. I love her work. On her page, Zena Electra, you can see some of her paintings. Sometimes she paints live. She used to paint live sometimes, and I loved it. I loved it. It's better than Bob, what's his name? What that dude's name is. Y'all know who I'm talking about. The guy that used to be on PBS. Painting and whispering. But anyway, journaling is so important because of this, you guys. Journaling is so effective when it comes to attracting your mate specifically. Yes, you'll attract your tribe. Yes, you'll attract your soul family and friends, and experience openings in your family relationships and things like that through journaling. Yes, because you're getting more in touch with your feelings, which helps you to express yourself better in everyday life. But here is why journaling is so effective with attracting a mate. Listen up, you guys. Now, a lot of times, when we're thinking of a mate, we're thinking of a person that we can express our deepest feelings with, right? We can feel safe expressing our deepest feelings with this person. They can interact with us surrounding our deepest feelings. They can hold space for our deepest feelings, someone that would understand us, right? And sometimes you just want someone to really see you and be like, man, sometimes life is so hard. It's so difficult. I'm facing this challenge. I'm facing that challenge. And it feels like no one sees what I'm going through. It just, you don't feel seen. Everyone wants to be seen, loved, and accepted for exactly who they are, right? So this aspect of intimate relationships, this role that your intimate partner plays, that your life partner plays, this is what I call being a sacred witness. A sacred witness, okay? Now, the best way to attract a sacred witness into your life is by becoming your own sacred witness. What? Yes, by becoming your own sacred witness. Okay. Yes, Jatin says it's 111 here in the UK. Yes, angel numbers. Love it. But yes, becoming your own sacred witness, being the person that is holding space for yourself, you are listening to all of your thoughts and all of your feelings. You are connecting the dots along your journey. You are holding your own story and treating it as sacred, right? Recognizing that it is beautiful, beautiful, right? Holding compassion for yourself, not ignoring all of the things that you are feeling, all of the challenges that you have overcome. When you write about those things and see it on paper, it becomes real, right? And it can really help you to see yourself clearly and to value yourself as well. Sometimes we just go through stuff, and then when we get through it, we just go, "Phew, glad that's over," and on to the next thing. But you don't really stop and listen to yourself like, "Man, that was really hard. But you know what? I did that. I handled that well. Good job. Good job." Sometimes I tell myself, "Good job, Pangea." Sometimes I have to look in the mirror and say, "Thank you." Thank you. Right? Just this past week, I had a moment like that when I realized, you know what? I'm so glad that I set myself up to be self employed at this time. I can't imagine, processing the huge things that I'm processing along my spiritual journey and then having to get up and go into an office every day. Because that doesn't work for my personality. That type of structure, that's not me. But years ago, I decided I just want to work for myself. So the other day, I thought about it and I looked in the mirror and I said, "Thank you." And I journaled about it. Okay. So thank you so much, Eric, for that comment. I really appreciate it. Eric says you speak so well. Just hearing you makes it feel easier for me to actually do it. Oh, that warms my heart so much. That's exactly what I want. I want you to realize that you can do this. I want you to feel that you can do this, right? There's not anything different or special about me that I've been able to discover this stuff. There's nothing I've discovered that you can't discover. There's nothing I'm experiencing that's wonderful and beautiful that you can't discover and experience, right? These are things we can all do, right? So expressing yourself and holding space for your own expression, valuing your own expression, being your own sacred witness, right? You are the only one. Listen, you may attract a mate that is a sacred witness, but you are your own most sacred witness. No one but you will ever see, observe, record, pay attention to, hold space for every single moment of your life like you can. You're the only one that's ever going to actually experience everything that you experience. You can tell people about some things, but you'll never be able to tell them everything. And even if you tell them, they won't feel it the way that you feel it. When you share your experience, it's still your experience, right? So when you become your own sacred witness, now your energy field, your unique signature frequency is saying, "My story is worth holding compassion for. I am worth it. My story is interesting. My story is sacred. My journey is sacred. I am progressing. I am evolving into a higher being," right? There is purpose to my life. All of this has a meaning. It's not for nothing, right? So then that unique signature frequency attracts someone with a matching frequency who will be willing to hold compassion for you because they're holding compassion for themselves. They'll be able to, they'll be practiced in holding compassion for you because they're holding compassion for themselves. How about that? So, you guys, we hear all the time about manifestation and attracting this and attracting that and magnetizing, but I really like to share exactly how does this work. I like to give you guys real life stories, real life ways to make this whole energetic thing work for you. Okay, give me some fire in the chat if this is resonating for you. If y'all have any questions, um, if you have a situation in your life and you'd like me to feel into your energy, now is the time. If you're having a question that's coming up for you about like, how can I do this? Or why am I having this issue? Now is the time to do that. If there's something you want to open up your throat chakra about, let me know. I'm here to hold space for that. You guys, we do this every week. Tuesday nights at 6:30. Attracting Love Energy is the name of this segment. And I love sharing with you guys, how you can attract more love energy into your life. Since I've been doing this, I've attracted different friends that are also on a spiritual journey, people that are learning to heal themselves. I used sound therapy, meditation, visualization, and a few other things. I utilized herbs, herbal teas and things of that nature to heal myself from over 20 years of anxiety and depression. That was my life, you guys. Chronic anxiety and depression. I had PTSD from some very serious traumas that happened in my life. But I used all this stuff that I'm sharing with y'all all the time to heal myself. Does that mean I never get down? I never feel anxious about anything? No, no, I'm not here to lie to you. I'm nobody's guru, okay? That's not what I'm here to tell you, okay? I'm here to be real with you guys, be transparent with you guys, and let you know that, hey, if when I do feel down for a moment, when I do feel anxious temporarily, I now have tools I can reach for. I have ways of analyzing what's actually happening with me and know how to move through that energy because I now understand what it is. But you got a question. Explain again why getting stuff off your chest or cathartic is so healing. What's happening energetically? Oh, I love this question. Okay, so explain why getting stuff off your chest or cathartic is so healing. Okay, so when you don't get something off your chest, I'm gonna give an example. Say you're not expressing something that you're feeling or some thoughts you have in your mind because you feel shame around it. Okay, because you have shame around it. Shame, if you look at, there's a chart you can Google. It's called the Hawkins chart of emotions. The Hawkins chart of emotions shows different emotions and the vibrational frequency of that emotion. Okay, the lowest the lowest vibrating emotion you're going to see on that chart is shame. Okay, the reason that shame is the lowest vibration on that chart, people would expect it to be fear, just from things you people say, oh, love versus fear. Fear is not the lowest vibration, though shame is. And the reason why is because that thing that you hide, that thing that you suppress, you're going to repeat again. You're going to repeat that thing again. Okay? Because people take for example someone that has an addiction, okay, and they have a lot of shame around that addiction. When they hold that in, they're not reaching out for help. They're not expressing whatever it is they're trying to numb with that addictive behavior. They're going to do the thing that they're ashamed of. They're going to do whatever the addictive behavior is, drinking, using drugs, gambling, whatever it is, right? Then the shame is going to cause them to cover that up, right? But they're feeling so much grief, shame, anxiety, stress around the fact, disappointment in themselves that they've done that thing again. But instead of speaking to someone, reaching out for help, sharing what they're really feeling, actually addressing the issue, the pain that it is they're trying to numb by doing that thing, the shame stops them from reaching out, from expressing, from actually looking at that pain that's within them. And in order to cover that up and relieve that feeling, what do? They go do that numbing behavior again. Okay, so it's a vicious cycle. It's a very vicious cycle. So when you do that, you're just causing a greater energetic blockage for yourself. The energy of that thing is building, but it's a negative energy. That shame spiral is spiraling, right? It's snowballing, okay? Until, finally you have maybe not 1 year of this behavior that you're ashamed of. You've got 5 years of this behavior that you're ashamed of. And maybe 5 years down the road, you've done all kind of other things to feed that addiction, since we're using addiction as an example, right? Maybe by this time, the addict has stolen from someone, lied to someone, hurt someone, right? Didn't show up for someone that they loved because they were they were in the throes of their addiction at that moment and wasn't able to be there for someone that they really love and care about, right? That just keeps the shame spiral going and going. But when you express what you're feeling, that's a release. That's a release, right? That's letting go of. You stop covering it up. You give yourself a break. You show compassion for yourself. Expressing yourself is an act of compassion. It's an act of mercy. It's an act of self-acceptance and self-love, just to speak aloud what you're going through, what you're feeling. Because if you don't, you're just holding a lot of pain and stress inside, right? And it can even turn into a physical ailment. You can not one of the things that can happen to people who don't express themselves, a physical ailment that you may not think of as being related. People can have a chronically sore throat. They can have, you can develop things like laryngitis. You can develop a goiter, a growth on your neck because of the glands that are here that are related to the throat chakra, and they can become enlarged and hardened. You can, for women, they can get tumors, fibroid tumors, fibroid cysts in the uterus. These are all things that begin to develop as a result of not expressing yourself. Okay, so that energy, when you hold it in, it doesn't just go away. When you fail to express yourself, when you deny yourself the freedom, the grace, the mercy of expression, that energy is blocked. It's blocked up in your body, and your body begins to create physical manifestations of what's going on with you spiritually. Okay, I hope that's a good answer to your question. Okay, but everything we see in the physical world is just a manifestation of something in the spiritual, in the energetic world. Everything is energy. Okay, so when you keep energy trapped in your body, you can develop all kinds of tumors. Okay, all kinds of blockages, cancers, even cancers. Okay, so if you study Eastern medicine, you'll see that in Eastern medicine, they recognize that we are our mental, our emotional, our energetic, our spiritual, and our physical bodies it's all one. It's not separate. Okay, so thank you so much for that question, Jatan. All right, and Gina says, yeah, I know people. I know people too. I know people too. Yeah, that are suffering from these maladies for lack of giving themselves the grace of self-expression. Okay, you guys, we have gone way past the time that I intended to go to, but hey, it's been fun. Thank you guys so much for the support in the chat, for your participating in this conversation. I really hope this has been a blessing for you all. I really hope that this has given you some enlightenment, given you some ideas. One last journal prompt. Did I give my journal prompt? Oh, yes. What are the things you hide when you meet something new? What are the things that make you uncomfortable about being vulnerable around? Okay. That is another journal question for you. And that one is especially important. It's even more important when you're talking about attracting a mate, but it's also important for your tribe. Okay. Because your mate, it's a little bit more personal space. The more vulnerable you are, the better mate you're going to attract. Okay? Okay? All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you all next week. Zena, Jatin, Eric, everybody that was in the chat tonight, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday. I'm also developing a class that I want to direct you guys' attention toward. Is coming out in a few months, called Narcissistic Daughters. I'm sorry, Adult Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers. Adult Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers. It's an e-course that I'm developing, and I will have more information on that soon and how you can access that course. All right, you guys. Peace. See you next week. Mwah.